Tsunamis that obliterate our best defense systems.
The scale of destruction was almost absolute.
Volcanoes that kill millions.
You don't want to get caught in one of these flows because you're simultaneously burnt, suffocated, and pummeled to death.
Earthquakes that expose the planet's inner secrets. And diseases that push humanity towards extinction.
The travel doctor took one look and said, "You have the bubonic plague."
We all know that natural disasters are a major problem that have and will continue to plague the world. The real question is why. For a long time, people have perceived weather to be a result of the power of God. Just as God created humanity, He created the universe, our world, and since it's believed by some to be the sole controller of all beings and forces within it, nature is one of those things. Although people are ultimately and inextricably linked to our environment, we tend to disassociate ourselves from the natural world unless we need something from it. According to Berry in Ethics and Ecology, there has been an attitude that the natural world owes to the humans all the support that the humans need for certain life fulfillments. This logic goes to the idea that humanity, by nature, tend to feel deserving of certain things while lacking an understanding of why bad things happen. We are content to allow for deforestation and pollution of our environment due to our claim that these things are necessary, and that is a loose term, for human survival. Going along with this mindset, the world is meant for us to exploit. This, however, is not true. Yet it is unjust for us to blindly believe that we can take what we want from nature without having to suffer the consequences. As a result, people grapple with natural disasters and question the reason for their existence. It is in this realm that God becomes relevant in the discussion of the link between people and the natural world. If we look at the root of this issue, we find ourselves analyzing theodicy and the eternal question of the true nature of God. If God is truly good, why does He allow for those things that cause us suffering, such as natural disasters?
The question about why God allows natural disasters, or diseases for that matter, is one of the toughest that there is for.
The age-old problem expressed by many sincere people is, why would God allow such pain and suffering? The very nature of God is brought into question with reasoning like, well, if God is all good and all powerful, why did He not prevent this from happening? Either He is not all good or not all powerful.
In this context, theologians like Dinesh D'Souza assert that it is humanity that is the root of all evil, as a result of free will. D'Souza, however, brings up a good point in that moral evil cannot account for the natural evil, as human action is not capable of fully influencing the weather. As a result, the question that remains is why? Why do natural disasters occur? Is God punishing us for our sins? Does God even play a role in the weather, or is it merely a fact of science? These questions that ultimately determine how people react to natural disasters. Those who profess a strong belief in the divine tend to turn to God in times of crisis. No matter their faith, they pray to the Creator for mercy, forgiveness, or help in these hard times. For these individuals, faith acts as a coping mechanism. By reaching out to God, people feel as if someone is listening, someone is there to support them in their physical and mental efforts to rebuild. By having faith, people are often able to cope with tragedy and work towards a better future. Faith also acts as a force for good in that it unites people. Religious groups often come together to provide aid to those in need. Those who subscribe to the idea that God controls everything in the universe can sometimes struggle to understand why they were hit with such tragedy as a result of a natural disaster. They question the goodness of God and in some cases start to lose their faith, isolating themselves from their religious practices due to a belief that God has failed them or that He must not exist. Those who lack a faith, or those who side more with science, tend to see natural disasters as exactly that, natural. They do not see God as influencing whether or not an earthquake devastates a region or whether or not torrential rain would cause flooding that would wipe out a village. While some scientists choose to ignore God when trying to detect storms and provide relief to those victims of the natural world, others attempt to use disasters to assert the belief that God does not exist. It is these questions that theologians and scientists alike struggle to answer. Where is the correct balance between spiritual and natural forces, and what role, if any, does God play in natural disasters? For now, we can continue to contemplate these problems in regards to the question of suffering and the present interpretations of the issue. As Leibniz would say, God created this world as the best possible world. While it is far from perfect, we must accept it as it is. At the same time, however, We, as members of the human race, can work towards an increased unity in the religious and scientific communities in order to better understand the causes and effects of natural disasters and what we can do to limit the suffering of those involved.